Tina, you want to say hi? She's waving, maybe. Rich? So, Rich, you're officially the chair, right? Rich Stork?
Yeah, Rich Stork, chair of the Shorewood Park Sanitary District.
And Tim, you're formally on the board, or you're still on the board?
You're right, Tim. I'm a former board member. I was there when this whole expansion project started, so that's why Rich has asked me to join this meeting.
And Dean, you're on the board still, right?
Yes, I'm the secretary treasurer for the board.
And anyone else? Who else did I miss?
Paul.
Go ahead and say hi, Paul.
Sleazer. I'm a board member also.
Okay. So again, one of the reasons, we're probably going to hopefully be doing some construction this summer. So we wanted to kind of catch up with you, Aaron, and a lot of the board is new. So we thought, well, we should check in with the MPCA, make sure that, we got everything straight, especially with the permit. So first and foremost, thanks for joining us and thanks for your help. Again, we hope to be doing construction this summer, which would be the expansion of the sewer line. I don't know how many feet it is. If it's 2,500 feet, I don't have the plans in front of me, but it's a pretty short expansion.
Mm-hmm.
We have an existing pond system, been around for somewhere around 30 years, been working pretty good. So two changes. One, the board members I already mentioned, we got some new board members, so that's why we're trying to get everyone up to speed. But two, and more important, our flows, and I don't know if you've noticed, but our flows have been running a little bit higher. And so to be honest with you, we've been chasing I&I. We've been looking at sump pumps. We've been, unfortunately, spending some dollars trying to chase this extra flows. And we're like, and we couldn't find any. Rain events. It's like, wow, we can't find, hardly any I&I that was really evident. So we're like, So then our operator noticed that the check valves at the main lift station were not working. And so the valves were stuck open. So what that means is, the main lift station would pump, and I don't know if it's a mile, but it's quite a ways to the treatment plant. And then of course, when they shut off, half of it or a lot of it would flow back. So you're double pumping. So we finally fixed that. Rich, what did we fix it? Maybe a month ago or 2 months ago?
Yeah, it was fixed in the end of November. Okay. And December and January showed great improvement of dropping us almost 40 to 50% down from what our current, I would say, half a year record. So we ran like that for almost, I would say, for 6 months.
Yeah.
At the beginning of last year, 22, almost all the way through November, it looked like we were pumping a lot of extra I&I, and actually we were just pumping everything twice.
Yeah, because we couldn't find the I&I. We were popping manholes and going in houses and looking at sump pumps, and we're like, we can't find a darn thing. So anyways, we're back to somewhere 10,000 gallons, under 10,000 gallons per day. So we think we got a pretty good handle on that. We're definitely under our design flow, which of course the facility plan did say that. I mean, right. And so that's all good. And then with these additional 23 homes, we figure we'll be running, maybe somewhere around 12,000 gallons per day, somewhere in that ballpark. So we feel like because of these check valves, we got a pretty good handle, and we're feeling like maybe we don't need an additional pond for capacity reasons. And so, one of the first questions is, if we don't think we need the capacity, even with the expansion, do we have to add one anyways, just because the PCA wants us to? Any thoughts on that first question?
I don't think there'd be any reason on our end to require you to construct a new pond if it's not needed, either for treatment or capacity. So I guess that would kind of be up to your design, but
sure.
Yeah, on our end, I was going to ask about those flows, so good to hear that kind of got those figured out. I think if we'd probably require some sort of amended facility plan at this point.
Sure.
So I think just maybe re-looking at the flow and loading, and kind of include a description of what you just explained with the check valve and the flows. But yeah, on our end, I don't think we would have any reason to require that.
Okay.
Can we just
Um,
circle back to the first question then, Tim, and if we went 1, 2, 3, and 4, the ones that I laid out, so, and you probably pretty much answered it already. You know, I guess we'd like to understand what the status of our existing permit is now. I heard from talk in the past and everything that our original permit, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just guessing on this, permits are really written up for what, like a five-year span before you look at rewriting a permit?
Correct.
And they're updated like every 5 years?
hmm
Okay, and our existing permit basically expired right around 2015, which means, you know, we would have had to rewrite another permit, but since we started with going down the road of expanding, we're still kind of, we put that new permit on hold for the original operation, correct?
Right. I believe that's the case. Yep. So that
All right.
2015 permit would still be in effect right now.
Okay, so really, if nothing ever happens, and for some reason, and I'm just asking the question, people don't get excited. If this doesn't go through for some reason or another, funding falls through, people don't decide to do it, they want to go further, we would basically be rewriting a permit back to what we would have done at 2020 for the original operation. And it would basically kind of mirror where we were before, correct?
Right. I think we would probably try to include the planned construction in the permit. I believe there's also you'll be getting a new phosphorus limit as well, but yeah, we are in the process of getting that permit out, I think. I'm not sure exactly the status. I'd have to check with the permit writer, but I know she has been working on it.
What's her name again? I know I've spoken to her, but
that is Laura Guyan.
Yep, we've talked to her.
So you brought up the point that has been the big question. Even if we don't do this, there's a possibility that you're going to be increasing our phosphorus limits, which may change what we would have to be doing with our existing system regardless, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And how would we determine that? I mean, could you tell from where our phosphorus limits were in the past? That would kind of give us a direction of what kind of changes we'd have to make, be it, you know, some sort of a, you know, how much correction are we going to do is going to have to drive exactly what we're going to need to do one way or the other, correct?
Right. So I don't believe, do you have a phosphorus limit currently?
That's why I'm asking. I don't know if we have if right now, all I can go by is what Jay, our operator, our interim operator said. We were falling well within our limits of what was written on our permit currently.
Right.
That's all the information that I have.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think the facility currently has a phosphorus limit, and that's what they would be receiving with the new limit. So I guess the effluent limit summary was done based on the assumption that you would be expanding the pond system. So I would need to talk to our effluent limit staff on if you're not adding a new pond, if that would change the phosphorus limit at all, or if a new effluent limit summary would need to be completed. But my assumption right now is that, yeah, you would need to add some sort of phosphorus treatment either way.
So do some sort of, normally I'll do it like an alum treatment.
Right. Yep.
You know, and you can do it by boat or, you know, put in some sort of pumping station to pump it out there and put in some sort of mixer, you know, something like that. So that's what we normally do.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. I think you answered those questions. Tim, go ahead and continue on that list of questions there. So I kind of where it was.
I mean, most of them I think you've answered. You know, status of our current permit, you've kind of mentioned that. Permit requirement changes. So I think we'll just have to work with that, whether we expand upon or not. What that would do for our permit requirements. You know, yeah, we kind of talked about whether we have to do the new pond or not. I guess if we can show that we believe we don't need that extra capacity, I'm sure that would answer that question. And again, just are there going to be any additional requirements in our new permit? It sounds like we're going to have a phosphorus requirement, and I don't know if there'd be any other requirements in our permit beyond that. Changes.
As far as I know, the only new limit would be the phosphorus.
That's what we thought. So,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, one more question for me then, I guess, just to kind of wrap it up, and probably, I think this is on the minds of some other people also is,
Mhm.
We designed this new system just to accept the additional expansion that's in play with this facility plan. If there were any other future expansions or that chance of that, we would have to go through the whole process of another facility plan and the whole rigmarole all over again, if that was the case at this particular point in time.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
And that's
Tim, Joe Heidelberger talking here. So when we do receive our new permit and it has the phosphorus limits on there, what is the timeline to come into compliance with that?
that is going to depend on how it's written into the permit. So sometimes we'll have a compliance schedule. I'm not sure how it's actually being written into this permit. Again, I'd have to double check with the permit writer, but I can check with her and send Tim an answer and get that to you.
Sure. Any guess on the timing of the new permit when it's going to come out? Any guess or not really?
Not really. I would think soon, but we might need to make some changes depending on how you decide to move forward with the pond expansion.
So is there a timeline when you would want an amended facility plan, kind of updating the flows?
As soon as possible, I guess.
Okay.
It really just kind of based on your schedule. But yeah, I know they do want to get that permit out. So
It would probably just be a one pager, Jackie and group.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's, a big document. Be just a 1 or 2 pages probably. That should be sufficient, right, Aaron?
yeah, I would think so.
I guess plus maybe listing of the flows, but it won't be very arduous. So
Do you foresee any other changes other than the phosphorus limits changing in the near future? Let's say 5 years. Well, so our permit would be written for 5 years. The next cycle, do you see anything that we would possibly need to be prepared for that we could think about if this, build into this expansion that we'd have to prepare for within the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years? I know that's hard to say. That's a loaded question, and I'm not going to hold you to it. But I mean, hey, what are you hearing? What's the scuttle?
Yeah, I can't really answer that question with too much certainty. I wouldn't expect so that you'd be receiving any new limits in the near future. I know a lot of facilities are kind of worried about nitrogen limits, especially for pond systems. But in my opinion, just because that would be such a huge tax on pond systems throughout the entire state, I don't see that as being very likely.
yeah, you'd almost have to go to some sort of pre-treatment mechanical type system.
Right. Yeah.
Put something at the headworks, then the waste it knocked down the nitrogen and then it would go into the ponds. So you'd get into something probably mechanical at that point, unless Jackie has a different answer. That would be what I would think.
Yeah, that'd probably be the most economical at that point versus bonding and separation to get nitrogen removal.
Yeah.
With recirculation pumps.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Paul, do you have anything?
Yeah, I guess, since the permit and the plan that we had originally for the expansion was including an additional pond, would it be reasonable and prudent to continue on with that even though we have the lower flows at this time?
Yeah, I guess that would kind of be up to your, Tim and Jackie and their design. And kind of what they find in the outlook for the future and the facility plan.
So that ball's back in our court to discuss and to vent through. Okay, no, that's a good question. Tim, Muskie Tim, do you have any other questions? You're on mute.
Sorry about that. No, I don't have any other questions. Thanks.
Becky?
Nope, just observing.
Great. Dean, how about you?
No, I think everything's been answered. I appreciate it.
Yep. Joe, how about you? I think, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I guess I got one question. You know, we have the facility plan there and you talked about adding the pond, but that pond is not in the facility plan, correct? Or designed in the facility plan?
I don't believe it was fully designed. I know there's kind of been some changes to design since that facility plan, but Tim, do you want to maybe touch on that?
Yeah, I guess I agree with Joe. You know, we were using the flows from a couple of years ago since the facility plan was done a couple of years ago now. And that's when the flows, we're back at that 9,000 gallons per day. And so I think the recommendations were that we have adequate capacity, including, so yeah, I don't think it included it.
I remember that was brought up, that it was enough capacity in the ponds to accept our 23 homes. So.
Yeah, some of the reason for the pond was, you know, and Eastco Lake as an example, you know, we use a pond there, put in the alum and call it an alum pond, put the alum in that pond, and then that knocks down the phosphorus, and then it goes through the rest of the treatment plant. So part of the thought on a new pond would be a phosphorus pond to kind of knock it down. But we certainly can do that phosphorus treatment just in the existing ponds. You know, I'm not recommending to the board that we do it by boat because I don't know. I think it's sort of dangerous in my mind, but a lot of people do that. They go out on a boat and they spray it out there, and, you know, hopefully they don't capsize and drown in wastewater, but you know, so there's a little easier ways, I think, where you can flip a switch and get that alum out there and mixed up a little bit, and then knocks down the phosphorus for your effluent. So, but I think, you know, primarily that's what the new pond, you know, we thought we had enough capacity, but, you know, maybe add a pond that could put the alum into that pond type of thing. So, you know, that was sort of the thought pattern, but it can be done without a pond.
Right. So I think the thought in the past was twofold. You know, we're getting close. We're losing our buffer by adding these people of expand, you know, I think we're still falling within. I guess we'd have to look at both options to see what weighs the best. And we can talk of that offline. I don't think Aaron needs to get caught up into those discussions, but I think I understand the directions that we're going at this particular point in time, and that really does help. So I think that covered everybody here for questions. I don't have anything else. Anybody else?
Rich, I did think of one more. I can't remember. Tim, maybe you can correct
Sure.
my memory for me. I thought when we started with this, that adding the pond was to help with the funding. Is that what we were thinking?
The phosphorus treatment was definitely to help with the funding. By knocking down the phosphorus, then that would help out, you know, well, twofold. The whole project, by getting systems off of the lake, wastewater system, that helps with the environmental, but also knocking down the phosphorus helps, you know, there'll be less phosphorus going to the St. Croix River. And so, yes, that was, you know, doing that environmentally, we thought, maybe we'd have a higher probability of getting funding. So you're correct, Tim. Part of this project and the thought pattern of A, we have to treat for phosphorus as we've learned, but B, you know, by incorporating phosphorus reduction helps the environment, then that helps with funding. So yes, that's correct. So, kind of to summarize, we can either treat for phosphorus by, doing it by boat or pump system, that we've talked about the past, or adding a phosphorus pond. So there's a couple of different ways to treat for the phosphorus, but
All right.
yeah,
Thanks for clarifying.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, Aaron, we definitely want to thank you for your time and your help, and especially with the new board members. We're all trying to get up to speed on what's been done in the past and how we need to proceed forward. We obviously want to meet our permit, our old permit, and then of course our new permit. We're definitely wanting to do that, and we'll do that. And so, look forward to working with you in the future. And thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you. One question before we get off. You had mentioned hopefully doing construction in the summer. Do you have a timeline for when you'll be sending in plans and specs for that?
Yeah. If there's any, we've sent in I think we've sent in the plans potentially once, but we'll probably be brushing them off and sending them in again. Would we send them to you or anyone else?
Yeah, you can just send those to me.
Okay, so Jackie will do that. We're going to brush them off. And then especially, as you know, Aaron, depends on if we get grants through the state, they have some requirements, PFA. And then of course, if we get money through the feds, they have different requirements. So some of why we have to brush them off is if we do get some grant dollars, we need to meet that grant, portal, whatever requirements they have, Davis-Bacon or whatever else. So that's kind of the brushing off of the spec and plans like that. So I would hope we'd be doing that, yet this winter or spring. I mean, I'm hoping we're going to be starting construction in June for sure. So review the plans. Again, it's just a gravity system with a pump, so it's a fairly basic project. I wouldn't think it's going to take a long time to review it, but we'll do that. We'll get the proper permits and then hopefully start construction in June if the funding all works out.
Sounds good.
Unless anyone has a different answer, Becky or Dean, or anyone else.
No, I'm not sure I can add to that.
And that would be just the collection system construction, obviously. If we were to do a pond or whatever we're going to do, that might be another 12 months out.
Right.
Because none of that design's been done. So.
Still got some work to do.
Exactly. So, well, again, we appreciate your time and appreciate the time moving forward and helping us out.
Yeah.
Tim, could you stay for just 2 minutes?
Sure, of course.
Okay.
Thanks, Aaron.
Right. Yep. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day.
Thanks, Aaron.
You too.
He is gone. So what everyone think? That's pretty much what we thought. So there's nothing.
I think we got, you brought a lot of us up to speed and cleared, we've got some solid answers that we can work with and mull over here for a little bit. I don't have a direct answer for anything. Obviously, we still have some more work to do. I think our next step in the direction that I want to get to, of course, next is I want to get together with our legal and get brought back up to speed where Chad Lemons left us. I had a quick discussion with him last week about it. Again, we don't have any of the documents or have any of the information in front of us and where he left us, and he needs to refresh his mind on it too. So I'll be bringing that up in our meeting coming up here on the 14th. That our next step is to get our group together and have a question answer with legal. But again, I think you with our group, we still need to get together at least another time too. And talk about a plan and what directions, what option A, option B, option C, because you guys have to kind of clean up that facility plan information yet too. So I'm going to let you guys think about that a little bit and try to put together a couple different options with us and for us. And then, we're going to have another sit down and a talk and try to just funnel that into one direction for all of us. I guess that serves everybody the best.
Sounds good. And of course, we're probably not going to do, we could update the facility plan with your direction. But as far as doing anything major, I'd say still hold off till we hear back from the feds on what the requirements are going to be. Again, just to reiterate, I did talk to Stauber's office and they're like, yep, you definitely got the money. But the EPA, I think, is going to be funneling the money to us, and whatever requirements, I don't know the requirements yet. So, we shouldn't do anything too major. I could see us doing the facility plan update, which I don't know, how long that would take Jackie, not very. So we could do that. But then as far as, finishing up the plans and specs, I'd wait till we hear from the EPA. What do we have to, are there any more environmental studies we need to do, historical, archaeological, to name one if we have to do anything like that? The wage requirements and any requirements they're going to have, they're going to be, they'd probably, I don't know if they're going to review the plans. They probably will. So those type of things need to be done.
Okay.
So there you go.
Any kind of work or update on that facility plan? It's going to take some work. So before you do that work, we'd like to know what the cost would be for that before we pull the trigger on that too. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We won't start anything until you give us the go ahead.
All right. Perfect. Thank
Great,
you. I
thank
appreciate
you.
Tim, could you get us some information on this, Elmon? How to get it out on the pond, like what a facility would look like for that?
I'm not sure if Jackie or I have anything, in particular to give you. A lot of, as I mentioned on the phone, a lot of people just go out there in a boat. But my philosophy is, and I've mentioned this before, is, putting some sort of a, 12 by 12 building shelter, whatever you want to call it, that you could potentially store the alum in there, because use up a little bit of this, and it's up to you. I guess if you want someone to go out there in a boat and spray it around there, that's fine with me. But my vision is, some sort of a little pumping station that then would, have something to pump it in that you can just flip a switch. Maybe you have some, it's called solar bees. You have a couple of those out there that work off solar power, and they just kind of mix it up a little bit. And then, 2-3 times a year, because you only have to do it like a week before discharge. So you're not adding alum all the time. Let's say we're going to discharge, May 1st, whatever the date is. Maybe you'd flip on the alum feeder a couple weeks before, a week before, knock down that phosphorus level, then test, to make sure you're below that phosphorus level, and then you can discharge. So that's kind of my vision. I don't think we have any drawings on something like that. And if you guys want to do it by boat, that's fine too. I just thought if you have the money, maybe you'd want to do something where, you can store some equipment out there too. So this would be a time to get a little shed on your property where you can store some equipment, and stuff like that. It's up to you.
I agree with that. Do you by chance have any idea how many pounds of alum would be spread at a time, or is that just kind of, you don't know until you start spreading it?
I don't know if Jackie has any numbers, but it'd be by
we
gallons.
could calculate
really.
a guess. Yeah,
It'd be by gallons.
I could calculate something for.
It's a liquid. It's not a.
That's what I'm used to. There's probably both types, but I'm used to liquid, so maybe it'd be. I'm just going to pull a number way out of the sky. Let's say it's 50 gallons per dosing, or 100 gallons. Something like that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
It sounds like a great option to me.
Yeah, we'd have to get power out there, and that's going to be expensive.
Right.
You could do solar to battery. I've done that before.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be something we'd have to explore. Probably wouldn't hurt to have power out to that pond or out to that plant. We want to make sure, and we'd have to talk about it. These are just my thoughts too, as Joe's talking. We want to make it as safe and easy as possible. If it's more money up front to keep operating costs down, that makes a big difference. Also, there's a lot of things that are going to come into play. The delivery of it, who accepts it, how does it get into there? That's all going to fall onto our operator. So our operating costs are going to go up. So these calculations are going to help the deciding, which way we go. And of course, we can budget numbers in for this, but it's definitely stuff we have to talk about now that we know it was coming down the pipe anyways. So that makes a big difference. So, All right. I don't have anything else at this time. I'm just going to absorb it, think about it, take some notes. I think Tina's got some minutes, and she'll pump them out. If we can get the recording sent off to Tina or myself, and then we'll go through that again, and then we'll post those minutes, what we talked about, on the website again, and get them out to everybody.
Tim, a quick question for you though. I wasn't sure if it was the right place to ask, but we've always put in the presentations, that were, number 23 or whatever on MPCA's, critical wastewater projects. I wasn't sure if that was going to open Pandora's box if I opened my mouth about that. But have you heard any changes or any updates to that?
I haven't.
I think that was directed towards you, Tim. I haven't.
Yeah.
Haven't
Yeah.
heard anything.
You're still on the list, and I don't know if it's your number 35 or what, but you're way up towards the top. There's like 600 projects, so
Okay.
yeah.
And have you heard anything from our new legislators, Rarick or Nelson?
So what I did was I met with all four, their office, just so you know, their admin, and then they were processing the bill was the last thing I when I spoke to them, and I don't know if it's been processed or not. I maybe once I hang up, I'll check back with her, and just say, hey, did you make the adjustments? Because I had them raise it up to 2.2, and has it been jacketed, I guess is the question. So I'll ask that question today, but I did meet with all four offices, and then they did say they jacketed it and raised it to 2.2. And that's the last I heard about a week and a half ago.
Let me know what you hear, because, we're back to, pounding on their door. But it's funny that these two are different from Coran and Johnson.
They are.
And it's, it's crickets with them. It's like, knock, knock. You want more emails? We'll send them.
It is funny. Once you become not their constituent, then they shut the phone off.
No,
Well,
I'm talking about
that's
Rarick and
interesting,
Nelson
Tim.
now.
So the ones where you are the constituents.
Yeah.
That's interesting, Tim, because I sent Corin an email because I'm not in his district anymore, and just like Becky and everybody else. But I said, you can take me off your mailing list, and because we're not in your district. He said, if you need any help with anything, let me know. So Becky, maybe it wouldn't hurt to reach out to him and maybe have him push from his side.
Well, that's what I did. That's why I met with all four. I met with your two old ones and your two new ones, and just wanted a status update on this bill. And it was good because then like within a couple of days, they're like, oh yeah, we're rejacketing that bill right now. So it did seem to help to stop by their office and shake them up a little bit. But I'll check back with them.
Yeah, let me know what you hear. And I did contact Johnson and Coran. It had to be early January. I could do that again. They've always been receptive, but it's our two new ones, not so much.
Going on.
And I have also reached out to all of them, including Melissa Hortman, and I haven't heard back from anybody other than Melissa Hortman. But
it's good. It's my legislator.
Yeah,
and your neighbor.
It's good that she reached back.
Well,
I'll send an email out right now and just see if get a status update.
Okay, perfect.
great. Thanks, everybody. I gotta go. My lunch is over.
Have a
Okay.
great weekend, folks.
all
You
right,
too.
you guys
You
too. Thank
too.
you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Bye.
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 Bye.